All right, well, welcome everyone. This is Nada from Guided Counsel, where my mission is to help one human at a time by providing different resources for people that are in a journey or asking the questions, what is there, what's out there, or you're kind of stagnant, trying to get a little bit of help, whatever the case may be, or maybe this is just an area of interest for you. So I am very happy to bring Meredith on board. I've seen Meredith at many psychic events that I've worked at, but I've never really had the privilege to stop and talk to her because I'm always talking to everybody else. But I am glad to have Meredith here. And Meredith, what brings you here? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on your podcast. So I am here to talk about animal communication, mediumship.
Excellent. And I'm really excited because I've only seen one other animal medium. I guess that's what you would call it, right? My animal medium or psychic. And I've always wondered, how does one even come up with that? Like, how do you know? So tell me a little bit about your beginning story as how you found out you had this ability.
So it all started, I've been psychic since I was a child. I can't remember exactly when. So I used to ride horses and go to hunter jumper horse shows. And around like when I was 12 or 13, I started getting pictures and little mini movies in my head from my horse. And so what validated me on that was we had a professional animal communicator back in the day come to our barn and talk to several of, my friends' horses, my horse. And I was just blown away by what she was telling me about my horse at the time, because I was getting the same information from him, but I didn't know what to do with it.
Wow. So, I mean, it's pretty progressive if you think about it, having an animal psychic come, I don't know what age, what year was this about?
Oh gosh.
Don't want to age, but like if you think
Yeah, I
about
don't
it,
want to give away my age. It was probably like in the early 1980s. So it really wasn't, animal communication back then was not really well known as it is nowadays.
I can imagine. I mean, and that's astounding that you already had that happening. I mean, I can only imagine that if you didn't have that psychic animal person come in, how would you even be able to validate it? Like, how would you be able to have instances where you were able to validate without having that person?
No. And, at that age, I didn't know what was happening. Like I had had several like psychic experiences. I was getting what we call downloads of information. And then it kind of shut off as I became older. Um, I didn't tell at the time, I didn't tell anybody in my family what was happening with me. Um, so yeah, and I really didn't open back up and come out of the spiritual closet per se until like 2002, 2003.
Mm-hmm.
I had a pet sitting company and dog walking company. And I noticed that when I was walking my clients' dogs, I was hearing voices in my head. And so a couple times, like I would just start talking back to them, and the dogs were surprised. They're like, "You can hear us? Oh my gosh!" Like they would get really excited. Oh, well, my human does this and this and this. Could you please? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not there yet. So it
Oh
was an
my,
experience stepping out of the spiritual closet for sure.
That just sounded like straight out of a Disney Pixar movie. That's incredible. So let's talk about when you were in the closet. And I would imagine it's because one thing, no one talked about it, then you don't know what the stigma is would be behind it. Even now, I still get nervous talking about it. Like, how much should I say? How much should I do? Just because,
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with people like yourself and my little tribe. But outside of that, I'm like, okay, I think it's still not, we're not there yet, and which we're not. But so you went into this, I guess you shut down at that point. Then you
I
opened up your business, but obviously you still had the intuition that you had to proceed with animals, something with an animal career.
yes, I've always been drawn to animals. I've loved animals my whole life. I'm a big horse person. I've had a pony. I've had several horses. And so when I started to open back up in 2002, 2003, I went to one of my friends who I'd been going to see as a psychic medium for several years before this. And I called her up and I said, "This is happening to me." I said, "I need to come see you now." And so
Mm-hmm.
when I went to go see her, um, she just took me by the hands and she said, "It's nothing to be scared of. You're psychic and you're going to be helping a lot of people and a lot of animals. Congratulations." So,
But when you were in the closet, did you remember that you had these gifts as a child? Forget the animal part, but just the regular psychic abilities.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so you just took your friends and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go with it, and just went with the flow at that point, and that's when you came out of the shell.
Right. But it wasn't that easy.
Right.
Like I had family members that didn't believe in what I did. I was uh, told to go to a psychiatrist, and
Mm,
I got on medication, and I knew instantly, intuitively, that I wasn't supposed to be on medication. It was the wrong kind of medication. Um, and so I took myself off of it right away. Um, because I knew I wasn't crazy. Just because some people um, see spirits or hear voices in their head doesn't mean that they're crazy. It doesn't mean that they are mentally ill. Um, some of us are genuinely psychic mediums.
mhm.
And yes, we do talk to animals and we hear them talk back. Like I get pictures in my head from them. I hear their voice in my head. I get feelings from them emotionally and sometimes physically. So it's all, I mean, it's still to this day, it blows me away what these animals tell me and what spirit tells me.
Well, I can tell you, not everyone has that ability. I've never really tried, but I know that, like, I have a dog. My dog is right here between my legs, and
Mhm.
I've tried to communicate with her, and it's everything is telepathy, right? So
It's
I try
all
to,
telepathic.
yeah, exactly. I try to communicate with her, and sometimes I can feel what she's trying to say, but I don't have those words and those visions. And I know, and most of the psychic mediums that we work with, they don't have that capability, or I don't even know if they've explored it. So I guess my question to you is, like everything else, we can obtain this ability if we just practice and do it. But is it? I'm assuming that because with you it came so naturally, it comes more natural to others than others, I should say.
Uh, yes, it came as when I opened back up and came out of the spiritual closet, it was like, boom, it was second nature to me. Um,
Okay.
and I really thought that all psychic mediums had the ability to talk to animals too. But then as I went along and I met people in the psychic medium communities, they're like, no, I can't do that. I'm like, well, of course you can. You're a medium. you're a psychic, so you can talk to animals too.
Mhm.
So when you say that you feel what your dog wants or needs, you get feelings from that's still animal communication.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with, right? And it's so funny because I used to see an old psychic, and she would tell me that mediums can be psychics, but some psychics cannot be mediums.
That is
And I
true.
wondered, is that true? Is that so? I
That
found that
is that is true. In
it
my
is.
experience,
Uh-huh. Okay, so that would make sense that not everyone could be an animal communicator.
um, I really don't believe that. Like I tell all my clients and my students who take my classes, um, that anybody could do what I do. Anybody could do animal communication. Like just like everybody is has intuition, everybody is psychic, but there's just different levels to psychic development. Like some people don't really care about their intuition. Um, some people are afraid of it. Like, oh, if I open up, what's going to happen? Or, you know, they're just scared of it
Hmm.
when they shouldn't be scared of it. It's nothing to be afraid of.
Right, right. I've spoken to some people, and I basically said it's your spidey sense,
Yeah,
telling you that's all it is. And everyone's okay with a spidey sense, right? But when you say intuition or intuitive, that they freak out. They're like, no, I don't want that. But it's like, but it's your spidey sense. They're like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm
yeah,
okay with
exactly.
it. It's so weird. And I'm like, okay, so you're good. Wow. Okay. So I want to ask, what has been the most profound experience that you've had in your field?
Oh my gosh. Um, that has to be probably when I have seen spirit with my own physical eyes. Usually I see them, I get a vision in my head, or I see like an outline of them physically. Only a few times have I seen spirit with my two physical eyes. Um, and the first time was, I think back in 2005. I was sitting in my bedroom and uh, all of a sudden I was going through a very sad time in my life. And I was just sitting on my bed reflecting about my life. And we had like a closet that had mirrored doors. And all of a sudden, out of the thin air, I see my dead cat, Tigger.
Mm.
And I looked in the mirror. I didn't see his reflection, but he was right there standing in front of me, walking towards me, and his tail was, waving in the air. And I'm like, Tigger? He was there for probably 10 to 12 seconds, and then poof, he was gone. And I
Wow.
believe he came to me just to let me know that things were going to be okay, that he was still there with me, even though he wasn't there physically. Um, and he passed away probably when I was like in my early 20s. I had
Mhm.
gotten him in high school for my mom one one year for Mother's Day.
That's cute. Wow. That's incredible. I just had an experience this Saturday. I had my dog's ashes for a very long time. And I finally last year decided, okay, I'm gonna disperse your ashes at my favorite beach. And I did that last year. And this past weekend was beautiful. So I went to the beach, that same spot on Saturday, and I was looking at the sun. I know you're not supposed to look at the sun, but I'm the one that does what they tell you not to do. So I'm looking at the sun, and I noticed that it was awesome because it looked like the sun was splitting into two. And I was like, oh, if I can see it with my eyes, imagine how it looks, behind the camera. So I took a picture of it, and it was like so dope. There was a stream of light hitting the top of the what do you call it, the wake of the waves,
Hmm.
and when you look down at the wave as it was starting to break, you see with just the light, the image of a dog. It was straight up a dog. And I was
Oh
like,
my gosh. I just got chills all up and down my body. That is
I
incredible.
I was like, Mandy, you're here. Oh my God, it's so awesome.
He
And so I
definitely
was
was
so
there.
excited. And so I had that picture and, I sent it to one person. They're like, yeah, anyway, so I'm like, oh, I still don't have those friends.
No, I get it. I get it. Um, that's incredible.
It's amazing how, we treat most of us, hopefully everybody, but we know that's not the case, our fur buddies or fur friends, or maybe not fur, maybe it's a snake, as family, and they do have consciousness, they do have feelings, they do have everything. They're just not able, they don't have the cognitive abilities that we do. So we need to honor that. And it's incredible when an owner can really get in tune with their little fur baby or whatever pet that they have. And it's I wish everyone can take the time to just develop that little extra oomph of communication, of feeling or intuition on their little animals, because I think the animals would be in a much better place, although they have unconditional love. It benefits both humans and animals.
Yes, it does.
And that's amazing. And is there an animal that has, in your experience, that has more ability to communicate than others? Like I would imagine, like a
Yeah.
horse probably has more communication.
It
No.
de- no, it depends on the individual animal.
Uh-huh.
Um, most animals have the ability to communicate telepathically with humans.
Hmm.
Um, the only time that I really um, see difficulty is when they are like at a heightened emotion, like if they're scared, if they have anxiety, if they have anxiety, then I will go, like if I have a client and I'm finding it hard to connect with them, then I'll go to their higher self and talk to their higher self, their spirit.
And so now you're talking about being able. Okay, so I need to back up because I want to make sure that people listening understand that you communicate as a medium for those animals that have passed on in their
Yes,
lives, also in the physical. Like right now, you need help with
yes,
training them. They'll come to you, and you can kind of like pull out what's going on with the animal at that point.
yes. So I do talk with animals and humans that have passed away, that are on the other side in heaven, whatever you want to call it. And I also do connect and talk with animals that are still here in the physical. And so uh, when I do have a hard time connecting with an animal, um, sometimes it could be the human that's blocking it with their emotions. I have run into a few people who say they believe in what I do, but they really don't, because their energy and their vibe comes across different than what's coming out of their mouth. Like they could say, "Oh yeah, I believe in this," and I'm sitting right across from them, feeling, and I know, no,
Right.
you don't. Your heart is not open. You are not open-minded to this. So
That
that's
must be rough because if they come in with an expectation that you're here to help and they don't see that help or they don't experience that help, then
mhm.
I would think that they would automatically put the blame on you at that point. That's not being
Oh,
effective.
they do. They do.
Oh, oh my God,
People
that's the
have such
worst.
high expectations. So sometimes I have to say, look, you're going to have to lower your expectations. I am not 100% right as a psychic medium or an animal communicator. Like I do get
Mhm.
things wrong because I am human. And, you know, and I've heard animals tell their humans, like I can hear their thoughts to their humans, and they're like, she's trying to help us. What are you doing? Like, be more, their own animals are telling them, be more open to this experience.
Yeah, that's the rough one. Even in the regular psychic world, you'll have those people that come to you and they want a reading, and you give them a reading, and they're just not satisfied because they're not hearing what they want to hear, and so they want to call you a fraud, you know. And it's like, no, it's
It's happened to me. I've been called a fraud, I think, twice,
oh yeah.
and it
And no matter
hurt.
what,
It
I was
hurt.
gonna say, no matter what, even if you have tough skin, it still hurts because we are out there trying to help people, not to hinder people,
Right.
right? And so we have to take it upon ourselves to think, hey, you know what, you chose me to come to see me, you
Yeah.
know, whatever. So yeah, no, it still stings for sure when you're trying to do something good. It's never a good feeling, but you know, you're out there doing the best thing that you can. And we appreciate people like you. There are so many people alone out there, and the only thing they have is their pets. I mean, a countless amount of times that I've seen homeless people out in the streets, and they have an animal buddy. You know, they'll do anything to take care of their pet. You know,
They, they do. And they take
they
very
do.
good care of their pets.
I agree. I have not seen any pet malnourished when they're with a homeless person. At least not yet. You know, hopefully never. Knock on wood. But that they come so important, and they're also service dogs, and there's also dogs for the elderly and dogs for autistic children who bring a sort of calm to the autistic children. And I've also seen like horses where they're able to detect right before it happens an epileptic seizure on a person, and then they come next to the person to make sure that they're there when in case they fall, they can catch them or whatever. I've seen wonderful things with animals, and they're, I think animals are underrated. You know, they have
I
so
think,
many gifts.
yeah, I feel like animals are very healing for us humans. And I have found um, with animals that they are smarter than humans.
Ooh, can you go into that more detail?
Oh, I've had animal clients that tell their people, their human mom or dad, they give them advice on relationships, they give them advice on business. Um, I had one dog give them advice. There was a couple a long, long time ago. Um, I've been doing this since 2007 professionally. So um, gave them advice. The couple were divorcing, and the dog gave them advice on their marital relationship.
Oh my God. See, dog, why don't you do that to me? Let's talk business. My dog doesn't do that.
Oh, he probably does, but you just, can't hear it or,
I can't hear it. She
yeah.
understands light language though. When I speak to her in light language,
Oh.
she gets it. You know, I have the
Mhm.
intention of what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, if you're not listening to me in English, I'm going to tell you in light language. And then she looks
Mhm.
up, and then she gets it, and she follows that instruction.
That's so cool.
So that's the only way I know how to communicate with her, other than the puppy eyes that she's always looking for food. But so, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. So you said that you also have clients that you teach. So what goes
Mhm.
into those teachings that you have?
So I do have classes. I teach beginner animal communication classes. I teach intermediate animal communication classes. And the beginning class is basically just teaching people um, about the the six clairs.
Mhm.
They're, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, and so on. um,
Mhm.
and then I teach them how to ground themselves. Um, and all the students bring a photo to class. And most of my classes are on Zoom. I'm going to be offering in-person classes in my area, in the South Bay area, soon. But
Very cool.
they learn how to, sit quiet and uh, talk to their animals and learn how to tune in to their animal, and to other people's animals, because we do practice in class with each other's animals.
And do you go in and validate, let's say I have my picture of my dog and, I'm thinking I'm having this conversation. Can you validate that conversation that's happening, or how do
Yes,
they? Oh,
yes,
very cool. So you're doing what that other psychic did for you that time with the animals.
yes. But also when we practice in class, I pair people together and they practice with each other's animals, so that other person is validating what you're getting about their
Gotcha.
animal.
So it's practice on both ends. Do you also have classes for regular mediumship, or is it just to the animals?
I have done psychic medium development classes. I haven't done it in a few years, but I'm going to be offering psychic medium development classes in 2025.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. 2025 is going to be a good year. If you have
Yes,
anything in the works, 2025 is a great year to implement it. Just throwing it out there. So let's talk about when you're seeing this, these people coming in and they're able to talk to the animals. Um, do they pursue other interests in the metaphysical world, or do they just like stay honed in on the psychic abilities with the animals?
some do, and some don't. Not everybody wants to become a professional psychic medium animal communicator, because let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of dedication. It's a lot of work. Um, Early on in my development, I read books, I watched YouTube videos, I took webinars, I took classes. So not everybody wants to do this kind of work, and doesn't need to. But some of my students, like I have some students that work for rescues, animal rescues. I've had a student that was a vet tech.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to tune in to the animals at her the veterinarian that she worked at, because she wanted to help them more. So
That's a great cause. And that leads me to the next question. If the animal is sick, can you kind of like go in? I know not every some psychics are good at finding where the medical issue is, but can you go in and scan the animal and see where they're at?
yes, I am a medical intuitive. I took a 3-day intensive medical intuitive class this last summer. Um, and so, yes, I can tune in and find out where their discomfort, where their pain is in their body. Um, and sometimes I do not diagnose. I leave that to the vets. But
Mm-hmm.
as a medical intuitive, um, sometimes I feel and I get what exactly is wrong with them, so that my client can take their animal to the veterinarian and tell them what exactly is going on.
Wow. That's If we can all do that for humans, that'd be great.
We can.
We
I
can,
mean, we
not
can.
no one, not many people believe. Not yet, at least. Not yet. No, but that's amazing. Okay, so is there any animal you would not work on? Like I can't imagine myself working on a snake or on a tarantula.
Well, most of the work that I do is remote. It's either by phone or by Zoom. So I have talked to a snake. I have talked to a tarantula. um, I mean, there really is no animal that I will not talk to. Um, so yeah.
Wow. And from all of this, is there a like one of the biggest lessons you may have been taught by an animal that You just remember that? Like we talked about like the biggest significant thing, but what about the biggest lesson learned?
The biggest lesson that I've learned from animals is to trust in myself and what I'm getting from them and believe in myself.
Yeah. And they're so intuitive. They know what's up.
They are.
Yeah. So what other abilities do you also work with aside from talking to animals?
I do, also, I do animal Reiki.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I was certified in animal Reiki. I got a certificate, um, I think last summer.
Okay. And how's that going?
I'm focusing more on animal communication and the mediumship.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I do offer animal Reiki. I guess I just have to promote it more.
Gotcha. No, I've actually done animal Reiki on the dog. Well, I do the energy healing on my kids, and it does work. So
Oh,
it's
yeah, it does.
it's very nice to see when they feel better or what have you. So definitely that's a big win. So promote it, you know,
Okay.
add to your package. Awesome. So you have classes coming up for more animal communication. You have psychic abilities coming up in 2025. I'm assuming you're going to be doing more psychic events coming up in
Oh,
2025.
yeah.
Okay. And then are you going to be at the Conscious Life Expo?
I am not going to be a vendor there, but I will be there either Saturday or Sunday in February when it comes around. Are you going to be a vendor?
No, but I'm planning on being there hopefully Saturday in February, Um,
Maybe we can meet up.
I know for sure. Maybe we could finally meet up. Excellent. So let's talk about and I want to kind of go back to your childhood because
Mhm.
I think first of all, us being older now and we reflect back on our childhood, now it makes sense. Back then, especially if you didn't have supportive parents or you grew up in a very strong religious household, you were kind of lost and you felt weird and out of place and like the black sheep of the family, right? But now, fast forward, we have more awareness, we have more resources out there, and then now there's children. And these children that these are coming out have more abilities now. They're what they call the crystal babies, rainbow babies,
Yes.
and all of that. So they're coming already with these abilities way better than we are. So as a parent, um, what can you say or do to help nourish these children that are coming with these psychic abilities and they're to them it's second nature, but when we hear it we're like, whoa, well, maybe not me because I'm there already, but what do they call a mogul from the Harry Potter series, a normie, when a regular parent sees this happening with their child, like what do you suggest they do to nurture that ability?
I suggest that you believe in your child and what they're telling you, what they're hearing, seeing, feeling. Don't discount it, don't discourage it, because then your child will shut down. Um, encourage it and ask them, who do they see? And if they see somebody like a person in spirit, ask them about that person in spirit. It might be their grandmother, it might be their grandfather that passed before they were born, right? So you always want to encourage your child if they do have psychic abilities or medium abilities um, beyond your level. Um, you want to encourage it, don't discourage it.
Yep, and it's going to be more and more widespread as generations keep coming up.
I
Um,
have been hearing that myself from spirit. They've already told, I have a grandson coming. Um, the due date is, I think, March 23rd. And so I'm very excited. And spirit has already told me, your grandbaby is going to be more psychic than you are. I'm like, good, I'm glad.
Congratulations, that's
Thank
fantastic.
you. I can't wait to teach my grandbaby all about this world, you know, about crystals, about psychic medium development. But I know they'll be teaching me some things too.
Yes, and it's really cool, you know, and they always say that the developmental stages when they're born up to 7 years old. So I always feel pressure. Like my little one, my youngest one, he's 7. I'm like, I have this window to really like push in all these extra thoughts, you know, whereas my daughter is older, but she gets it. She's more open. So it's really cool when there's a spark of interest to see in it, and when they see a spark of interest, because it's magic. You know, who doesn't love magic? I mean, we as adults, we watch, you know, the Adventures, we watch Iron Man, you know, so we still love magic.
It's
So
very magical.
yeah, so don't like discount on a child. We still love that. We like to, you know, lose ourselves in those type of movies. So no, it's amazing, and this is where we're heading, which I'm sure you've channeled this message as well, is becoming a more beautiful, despite of the stuff that's happening, is becoming a more
Yep.
beautiful and loving world that we're shifting into.
I have gotten those downloads a lot lately, in fact. And I want to tell people, just because you can't see, you know, a spirit there, or you see, just because you can't hear it or you can't feel it, doesn't mean that it's not there, right?
That's correct. They are everywhere. And you know
They
what's
are everywhere.
they're everywhere. And the more you're in a group of people who are, you know, like psychics or whatever, you will, if you don't see it, you will feel it. I mean,
Oh,
it's,
definitely.
yeah, that's why those events can get overwhelming for a lot of people, because there's a lot going on. It's not just the physical people walking in, but it's also the spiritual, the spirits that are coming in. So,
Yeah,
those events
the
can be overwhelming.
energy, it's all the energy that's in the room of the psychic, you know, fair.
Right, exactly. And so it can be very intense. So you're right. Don't be fooled. Just because you don't see it and you go on your merry way, you don't see anything, don't doesn't mean that you're not there. So someone's always watching you. As creepy
So
as it sounds
someone is
like.
always watching you. They're listening. They always know what you're doing. They always know about, you know, graduations. They know about birthdays. They know about, you know, babies coming into the world.
Exactly. No, it's a trip, but it's wonderful and it's beautiful. And Meredith, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate your time. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you for sharing your information, your expertise, and just your experience. You know, and I hope that this will help someone. So if anyone wants get an animal psychic reading, mediumship, healing, Meredith is the one to go to, and her information is in the description down below. Watch this, get in touch with her. It's going to have her Facebook and everything. So I hope that people will reach out to you.
Thank you so much, Nada, for having me on. It's been
Absolutely.
a delight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a great one.
You too.